In 2010, a show took the internet by storm. It was called My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. And by 2011, a fandom had been created for these pastel ponies and the messages they shared. By 2012, the fandom had started a series of events that would change the fandom forever. These conventions popped up all over the United States and beyond. My name is Nathan Cooper, and my mission is to tell the stories of these cons, what they mean to the community, and how they've kept the magic of friendship alive. This is UnCONventional, a documentary about the conventions that made friendship magic. First, may I ask you to state your name as you would like it noted in the documentary?
Hi, my name is Lightning Chaser.
My real name is Jer, but I'm more commonly known as Forward Progress.
My online accounts are usually go by Base Splits.
Built the Super Pony.
For the initial project, I interviewed 19 different people.
I am Joe Scout K9.
Mostly online, I go by May Lucy.
My name is Eric, but in the fandom I go by the Looney Turtle.
Yeah, my name is Retro, and I've been working conventions since 2013.
Combined, they've attended a lot of conventions.
I've attended Everfree Northwest,
Summer BronyCon 2012,
TrotCon 2017 in Columbus, Ohio.
Some of which I had attended.
Very first convention I ever attended was Equestria LA.
The Bay Area Brony Spectacular, otherwise known as BabsCon.
And some of which I had never even heard of.
Yeah, the first My Little Pony convention I attended was Running of the Leaves Con in Denver, Colorado.
Pacific Pony Con.
Nightmare Nights Dallas.
We initially started out with the idea of saying that the fandom wasn't dead. We had no clue what we were getting into, but we started asking questions. A lot of questions to a lot of people.
My first video was back in 2013. I recorded myself watching episode, I think it was 4, Lunar Eclipse of Season 2 of My Little Pony. I always have enjoyed the musician side of the vlog and the vlogging aspect with good friends that I know. One of them in particular, who I know very well, is Red Card.
After the season 3 finale, I decided to make PMVs, more specifically one that's a tribute to Twilight Sparkle for obvious reasons. It featured this video is no longer up, by the way, because of copyright. It featured the song "Nobody Does It Better" by Carly Simon. It's from the James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me.
It all started actually the summer of 2011. I got grounded. Around that time, I basically had no access to the internet. I can only either watch TV or go outside. And it was raining when I was grounded. So I was sort of forced to see the TV, and I see, oh, there's an episode of My Little Pony. And I'm like, fine, I'll watch one episode. And it was Winter Wrap Up. And I was like, oh, this is really good. It's a musical. And I like musicals. And it's not really annoying for a kid's show. And I was like, fine, okay, I'll watch another episode. And it was Suited for Success. I was like, I was nervous, but this is a good episode. And when I got my computer back, I basically went online and watched all the episodes that I could find.
Anyway, summer 2011, I was on knowyourmeme.com, and one of the most popular entries on that was for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And they had the first half of the first episode embedded on that page. It's not there now because that video got taken down. But I watched the first half of the first episode. Enjoyed it as much as someone would enjoy just suddenly being aware of a new children's cartoon. That was in April 2011. I just decided in June I would go through the whole first season I took about 4 days to get through the first season of the show, because in 2011, there was only one season of the show.
Back in 2016, I was just still trying to figure my life out after high school. I was in this really bad phase at a time in my life where I'm just like, I I don't know what to do. Like, I can't find my niche. Where do I really belong? So my friend, he and I were sitting down one night in a restaurant, pre-COVID and everything back then. He and I sat down one night at dinner, and he talked to me about, well, there's a fandom out there that I think you would really find your place in life. And I said, oh, what's that? He said, well, have you heard of My Little Pony? So again, he had been in the fandom for a while, and I just took his advice for it. So I turned on my DVR, and then I said, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot and see what this is. So the first episode I ever watched was Buckball season, which was right around when season 6 was starting to wrap up. And I'm sitting there like, wow, this is pretty interesting. It took only 3 episodes for me to say, oh my god, this is pretty good. And I went from watching the first episode to like all of them, and I was instantly hooked. Like, okay, I gotta know more about this. Like, I'm sure there's a fandom out there. I'm sure there's more people out there that I can associate myself with. And ever since then, the last 4 years have been a life changer for me.
It's kind of like a legacy at this point, because it's something that even though we have a 5th generation coming in, that lots of people won't feel the same way about it, and I think that the fandom sees the conventions as a way to keep celebrating the show, even though the 4th generation has ended.
For some, conventions serve as the beating heart of the fandom. Like, they think that conventions are where it all matters, where the fandom matters.
It validates the fandom's place in the world. Like, there's so many fandoms out there, but not every fandom has a convention scene. Like Pony, you could find that at like a general animation convention, but there is something that specifically is like Pony, and it kind of validates the brony fandom's place in the world. Is like, this fandom represents something, and I think that's what partially what the cons mean, is that, like, hey, there is a space for this community, and it's a special space that goes above just your everyday fan community.
I have heard people constantly talk about like how the fandom is dead and or dying, and like seeing convention numbers still come out strong, whether it be like before the pandemic, TrotCon numbers were still pretty big. The last BronyCon was massive. So it just shows that this fandom is not going anywhere. It's not dying. It may be changing at times, and not sure some years may dwindle in numbers a little bit, but there are still people who care about this fandom and are passionate about that and about this fandom. And I feel like convention, the numbers that they get, still prove it.
I mean, last few years has been anthology involvement just because that's really special to me. But apart from that, I would say being able to visit friends is what I really remember a lot of the time.
I would say probably what I remember most is the time spent specifically with like friends.
Just being there and just feeling an atmosphere of being accepted. Like, I didn't get that throughout all my high school years. Like, nobody was willing to accept that I was autistic, and that nobody was willing to understand that I'm different. When I'm in this fandom, I feel like I'm accepted. I feel like that I'm treated like a somebody here.
When we first conducted the first 18 interviews, we were in April. which means that something pretty big was happening. It still is happening at this point, not going to lie, but I wanted to throw this on as a disclaimer for people watching in the future. I think it's about time that we talked about the elephant in the room. From December of 2019, all throughout 2020, and into the next calendar year of 2021, the coronavirus would shut down event after event. This pandemic would rock not only the convention scene, but the entire world to its core. On March 19th of 2020, California became the first state to issue a statewide stay-at-home order. In the following days and weeks, the rest of the nation would follow suit. In the days leading up to these events, both BabsCon in California and Winnie City PonyCon in Illinois would be postponed. Winnie City till July before being forced online, with BabsCon delaying a full calendar year and later for a second year.
It has shut them down almost entirely. For 2020, the majority of the conventions had to close their physical events, and we've had to experiment with something that Horses at HomeCon had already been doing.
I actually work in healthcare on the administrative side, and seeing conventions respond to it in a way, responding to how they're going to go forward in a way that is more positive, is certainly a good thing.
When I got COVID, I was in South Africa and I was bedridden for almost 6 months. It was horrible. But I would rather there be no conventions than people having conventions in the middle of a freaking plague and more people getting sick, more people getting bedridden, people dying. I don't want to see that.
We need to do what we can to be safe. We need to make sure that people's lives come first.
Yeah, the virus has stopped conventions, but I don't think it's stopped the fandom, and I hope that when they come back, they will come back and we can all get together and be healthy and be vaccinated and have fun once again.
I think it's going to be different, going to be a little bit different for a while still, even when conventions open back up. Everfree Northwest is planning to have one this year, and I think so is Ponyville Cider Fest. So and if they are, I plan to attend both.
Going out of the pandemic, we're going to be a little stronger than before because pre-pandemic, the show had ended. The biggest Brony convention had just closed its doors, but now there's a new show on the horizon. The conventions are finally going to be able to have a physical event again. It feels like the pandemic did cause a few problems, but afterwards, I think it might have reinvigorated interest in going to cons because we've been deprived of them.
The social interaction, just being with people, having those minor interactions, just even if it's just a small one, just another great memory of mine is just, it was a small one. It's just me and 3 other guys were playing a game of France. Guys who have never met each other before. We just sit down, pull out a deck of cards, and play a game. The social interaction, that's what I miss the most.
Just being able to talk to these people, get their points of view on all sorts of things, it's very informative, and I really miss that.
As much as I enjoyed meeting people within the industry or talking to some of my favorite content creators, I miss the most just being with the people. Though LionCon kind of sucks, it's an opportunity to get a chance to talk to different people, and get to know someone else. And who knows, maybe during that time you'll make a new friend. And that's happened to me a couple times before.
Things seemed bleak for many, but like a phoenix rising from the ashes, an old concept would find the light of day in a bigger way than ever before.
So it's definitely different to do the online convention from the in-person convention. That being said, it's still a fantastic experience. You can't quite fully replicate the feeling of having somebody right next to you. It's almost impossible. We can get as close as we can. We have the chats, we have the rooms, you can connect over video. So you have a lot of the sense of what you get in the in-person convention, but it's not quite the same experience.
Yeah, we've attended a lot of online conventions. We were actually very, very blessed to be asked to take part in the first one that happened only like a week or two after quarantine procedures had started, which was PonyFest Online. We were approached a week out to be community guests for it and to make a panel for it. And we quickly had to go, okay, what of our programming, which is very much dependent on audience participation, can we turn into an online format in 6 days? We managed to do that. It was Riffing Rainbow, was the one where we make people read bad fan fiction. We flipped through our Rolodex and we found some friends of ours who we were like, hey, want to read bad fan fiction with us? And a bunch of people said yes.
PonyFest Online definitely came out at a time, I think, where a lot of people in the community needed it because there was so much uncertainty in the world. We were just starting to go on lockdown and nobody knew what was going to happen. It seemed like nobody knew if any conventions were going to happen again, and if so, when.
And then it's so hard to explain this to people. For reasons that I can't understand, we said a word. There was a word in the panel in the story that was an incorrect spelling of fun. I'm not going to say the word because people in the fandom are going to lose their minds if I do.
It brought a lot of people together. Created a meme based on a word I said. Yeah. I said fuff, and the internet just took it from there.
It's weird because because that was the only convention happening at that point, and we were on a stream and we were the only panel room, everybody saw that panel. 200, 300 something attendees that were at that first one that were watching panels at that point saw that, and that travels. And from that point, we rode that because we saw, okay, we have people looking at us. Let's keep making content.
When I went to my first convention, it wasn't on My Little Pony Con, but I was dressed up as Pinkie Pie, and it was a really just horrible cosplay. It was just like a pink shirt and pink booty shorts that I had used Sharpie to draw a key mark on, and I'd made these little pony ears out of paper that I had Sharpie pink, and I had an off-colored wig that my dad had bought me a couple weeks previously, and I didn't know I was going to the convention. My dad just came in one day and was like, hey, Lachlan, get up out of bed, you sad sack. We're gonna take you to an anime convention. I'm gonna leave you there all day. Have fun. And I got there and I was like, oh my gosh, my cosplay is not up to snuff, but I still feel kind of good. Like I felt a lot better dressed up in all pink than I did normally. And another girl, the most beautiful Pinkie Pie I'd ever seen in my life, came up to me and she goes, oh my gosh, it's another Pinkie Pie, yay! And she sings a little song to me and she gives me a little card. It's like, you are invited to Pinkie Pie's party at blah, 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 blah. And then on the back, it was like, this is a fake invitation. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But she was so nice. She was like, you look so good. You look so pretty. Let's be friends. And I was like, oh, pretty Pinkie Pie wants to be my friend. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. Being able to make a friend within my first 5 minutes, looking like a hot mess, going into a convention, I was just so happy.
The thing that means the most to me, honestly, the great memories. Like, at my first BronyCon, I made friends with people. We just walked up to each other on the street and started talking, and we became lifelong friends after that. I will always have those to look back upon, especially like when I'm missing my friends who live like an entire other side, like on the other side of the planet. I'll always have those to look back on, and I can always call them.
And when I started going to PonyCons and I started dressing up for real, I still always got that energy. Everybody was always happy to talk and be friendly. And for the most part, there was no judgment. There was really only just kindness. And so having a space that I can go into and I don't have to wear some sort of mask, I don't have to pretend to be normal. It was really, really, really freeing for me. And I finally found a place that I felt like I belonged in. And that is my favorite part about going to My Little Pony conventions, is really just that sense of kindness and love and friendship and safety.
A lot of people like to say that in the community, that it changed their life, and in a lot of regards, it's true. I believe that. Some people like to say it's a cliche, but to me, the reason it's said a lot is because it's changed a lot of things for a lot of people. I've met amazing people who have become friends that I wouldn't trade for the world. It's become a second family to me. And all of that would probably not happen. The being able to figure out, being able to find myself through content creation, meeting and getting to work with all of these amazing content creators, getting all of these amazing opportunities to entertain people, travel to these different states that I would never think of traveling to otherwise by myself with my friends and teammates. None of that probably would have happened unless I listened to my friend in 2012 and said, okay, I'll go to BronyCon.
There's a lot of different things that have happened in life, but it's this weird confluence of stuff that happened around the same time where I had moved back to Pennsylvania. I was working in retail for a while, but I got out of that. But I had finally got the medication I needed for my depression and my anxiety. I got out of working retail finally, which needed to happen because it was sucking away my soul. And I went back to college, and all of this stuff happened around the same time I discovered the show. So all of a sudden I'm finding out there's a community that has these messages about hope and togetherness and building a better tomorrow and all this stuff. At the same token, as I'm going back to college and learning about social science and learning about how the brain works and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm piecing things together here between this show with Technicolor horses and and like science and and then I was just kind of becoming more comfortable with myself. So it's like all happened together to make me be like, I can do something with my life more. And Pony was definitely part of that. It was like more than Pony, but Pony was a big thing because without it, I think I would have had like some of the pieces, but not something that glued it together. I guess you could say Pony and the Brony fandom was like the glue that held it together to make me go, there's a show and there's a community based on the show that gets this. MLP definitely made me realize I'm not alone and I'm okay to feel the way I feel, and I can be okay with myself more.
The thing that always comes to my mind was during the auction at Galacon in 2018. Usually they have this theme of the Joker coming in. He's like this guy who always bids on the last item, which always ends up being the auctioneer's hat. And so, and he always wins it because I don't know why, but it's always tradition for him to do that. And at the last one that I attended in 2018, Galacon, apparently, so the Joker bid on the hat, and then out of nowhere comes a Batman, and Batman was like, he was trying to one up the Joker the entire time. after about like a good 10 minutes of them bidding back and forth, the the Batman was about to give up, but then a lot of people pitched in for the to help the Batman. Like loads of people came down the stairs and like dropped off like a buck or two or 20 or whatever, and and just helped Batman beat the Joker. And then after that, the Joker admitted his defeat, and he was like, "It's not a." He said, "It's not about money. It's about sending a message."
I remember 2013 where we had where the concert hall was on the 400 floor. And we never had that concert hall on the 400 floor ever again, because everyone was jumping around and stuff, and we actually the BCC did not like that. As we barely registered on the Richter scale for earthquakes. 2013 was a special time.
There was a competition at BronyCon that was called the lip sync battles, where the goal of the panel was to lip sync to your favorite songs and try to beat your competitor. And whoever got the loudest crowd approval would be the winner. And for one con, I wasn't quite sure what song I wanted to do. I was kind of switching between two of them, because I just wasn't sure. I had an idea of the ones that I could do, but which one should I do? And then my competitor went on first, and he did a song that I was like, okay, it's gonna be From Now On from The Greatest Showman. It didn't seem like it was going to be much. And then the music picks up, and I start walking around the crowd, and everyone's like, what is going on here? I started clapping. Everyone else started clapping. And then I finally hopped off the stage and walked down the middle with my like a cane that I had. And they started following me. They were so invested and so engaged that they started following me, and we did a little bit of square dancing, and it was a fun event that I will never forget.
Back when the show ended, when this generation ended, I helped co-organize a series finale meetup for Bronies NYC, and one of the co-works there. And I remember someone came down from Montreal, Canada to New York City just to come to this meetup. They walk in to me and my other co-org. We were doing a registration booth, and he's like, "Hey, is it bad if this is the first like Brony event anything that I've ever been to, and it's the last one?" And we're like, "No, get in here." And as it turned out, as the night went on and this meetup went on, he let slip that his plan to get back home was that his train to get back to Montreal from Grand Central wasn't until the morning. So he was literally going to sleep on a bench at Grand Central Station, to which me and my friend, we both went, "No, you're not. You're coming back to our friend's apartment in uptown New York City, and you're staying there for the night because you're not sleeping on a subway floor." Since then, he's become an amazing friend. He came back to New York back in December of 2019. We spent a whole weekend out there and showed him around the city. And to me, whenever I think about that particular friendship, that encapsulates just the amazing thing that this community is, and what being at a convention is, and why they're amazing experiences. Because it's like I keep saying, it's that aura, that unspoken sense of togetherness, and just that immediate, of course we're friends. We love this thing that we're really passionate about. I don't see that in many other fan followings. And to me, that's what makes Brony conventions, and by proxy, the Brony fandom, really, really special. there's nothing that compares to that, and that's changed my life for the better. It really has.
Okay, so there's an obvious one I can say. The one I have to say, and not just because she will kill me if I don't say it. I proposed to my now fiance at TruckCon 2019. My girl and I had been together for a couple years, and I was like, I know this is the one. And I'm like, and I just, out of the blue, I'm like, I want to do something special. So I emailed the con chair of that convention, and I'm like, hey, I kind of want to do this thing. Are you cool with it? And they were cool with it. Obviously, she said yes, which was, yeah. She does panels with me now and such, and she does the podcast with me. She's become part of this with me, so it's more like we actually met through the fandom technically, because after my first BronyCon, I came and found our local area Brony group, and that's how we met, was through that group. So technically, I found my life partner through the fandom. So that's just all kinds of, yeah.
I know I said it at some point during this project, but it's amazing the stories that you'll hear doing something like this. I've been so lucky to be able to do this and to meet all you amazing people. And as amazing as it would be to end it like this, there's one part of a story left to tell.
So at TruckCon 2022, we're getting married at TruckCon, at the convention next year. I never would have thought that I would be getting married at a convention, but I'm honestly couldn't be happier that that's where we're doing it. It's going to be great. Come to TruckCon 2022 and come to our big freaking weird wedding.
Something tells me my life is about to change, like I'm never going back, and I feel as if nothing will be the same, as if everything goes black. Call me out if it seems like I'm paranoid. Well, it extends beyond the eye. There's so much fear inside. What are the odds? What are the odds that I would find myself where I began? How high is the chance of running round in circles now and then? Maybe it's all in my mind, but it's about time I read the signs. Oh, it's about time. It's about